Here we are again. I have been off for a little bit and I am back. I'm not sure if I'm live over here. Pretty sure I'm live there. And I will check and see if I'm live on my little Facebook page here. I am. We will turn down the volume. So if you're watching this live, please feel free to comment in the comments on Facebook Live, and I can see the comments there because I can check them out, and I can also see other comments. There we go. If you're commenting somewhere else, because I have gotten very clever with all of this. Hi, it's me again, Audrey Newmont on Conscious Mind Tripping. And I have a lot to talk about tonight. Some of it might be maybe a smidge interesting and controversial. I don't know what I'm going to get to. I actually have my notes here. So thank you for joining me. And I want to start by saying a big kudos to my husband. He has had a fabulous day, and I'm wondering if he's going to pop in here and visit with us for a second, because he just did something that he was quite happy with himself with. So if he's watching, he can jump in here and say hello. And another big kudos to him. We have been doing our this is Conscious Mind Tripping. We have been doing our Healthy Mind, Healthy Body course. And it's been really a lot of fun. And we've had some amazing practitioners. We had Nancy Sachs on, Eloise Buckner, Justin Formanek, and coming up on Monday, are you ready for this? We're going to have Craig Shoemaker. If you have never seen Craig Shoemaker in person, go check out his YouTube channel, Craig Shoemaker, the Love Master. He is one of those people on the planet that can have me crying laughing. And so he does a spiritual practice that's called laughitation. So next week, it's all about the throat chakra. That's why I'm wearing my throat chakra necklace. And it's going to be a lot of fun. You know, there's a big part of when we're owning our word and being powerful in it, and whether you're owning your word in, with somebody else, or you're just simply owning it for you and the ego, that kid in the backseat. So next week, there's going to definitely be a part of it where we're going to be allowing that ego to own its word and laugh it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. So he's coming up next week, and then the week after that will be Nick, and then we're going to have Dr. Stephen Palmer, my next door neighbor at the office. He is a doctor of psychology, and he's also a spiritual practitioner like me. We both graduated from Agape Spiritual Center many, many moons ago. So check that out. I don't want to get into a lot of other announcements today, as I have other things that I would like to be discussing. So if you are seeing me in here and you have any questions, remember I think, able to see the questions. I'm just making sure of it. And if anybody is watching and you can comment, that would be great. So to begin with, I have all these videos on here, and I've been doing this thing of making little reels. Why would I be making reels? Well, it's because I put out my book, The Mind Trip Game, Play Your Way to Conscious Thinking. And I've been figuring out how to be an author now and to make things happen with this. And it turns out I have to have people subscribing to me. So if you could take a minute right now and go to my YouTube, or go somewhere where, like Rumble or here, and subscribe, that makes a big difference. I'm looking to get a literary agent and possibly a publicist, or one or the other. Am in the process of figuring it all out. In my lifetime, I never dreamed that I'd be doing this. In fact, I'm going to be putting something out there right after this show that I think you'll appreciate. Sometimes I'll look in Facebook at my memories, and I think it was 10 years ago today, I made a video about starting this book. And I look a lot different. I think I sound a lot different. It's amazing how much we can change in 10 years, especially when we go through 5 years of, what we've all been going through. So I'm going to post that after this, and you're welcome to check it out. And it tells the story of why I started this. And I'm not going to repeat all the things that I said in there, but, it has been a journey. And so Nick has been bugging me that I should be like doing a reading from my book. So I think I'll get to that kind of towards the end, because I have some things that I wanted to discuss coming from a therapist, a hypnotherapist, spiritual practitioner. And some of the things that I've been seeing that people are struggling with. And it's amazing how many common challenges people face. So when I'm able to put it out there, and all of it's anonymous, and then we go into the solutions of it, maybe it can help you, or maybe you know somebody, because there is a lot that is going on right now. And all of I mean, it's obvious if you're here on Facebook, there's a lot of contention. There's a lot of angry, people who are, rightfully in their own, what they've got going on. There's a lot of righteous anger. And there's also a lot of anger coming from a victim place. And it's really important at this moment to discern the difference between the two. So if you're angry and there's a part of it where you're thinking you're a victim to something, that's where you really want to check that and look at where you're creating from. And to be clear, we all have reasons to be angry right now. It is just one of those moments in time where there is just, I've never seen such a moment like this. I'm 62. I mean, I have been around the block a couple of times here, and I have never in my life seen something like this. I don't think any of us have. I've talked to other people who are in my age bracket, and it's like we're all going, wow, this is a moment. And I'm going to say this. I know I've said it before, but I want to repeat it because I'm hearing it from different sources. It's really important, and it goes back to my buddy Bruce Lipton. He wrote that book like in 2008. He wrote a book called Spontaneous Evolution. And all those years ago, he wrote it in 2008, and then it came out in 2009, and we all know what was happening then. It was a big, huge financial moment for many of us. Anyway, in that book, he said that we are not sustainable anymore in the different systems that we're in. So like the financial system at that place, the judicial system, the school systems, the health systems, just what we're doing with the environment. And he said in that book that everything needs to be really taken down and a new system that is sustainable put in its place. And I truly think that we are in the moment of that. So when we're in this moment, it's really, I think it is imperative that we take the time to hold us in the highest. And I mean us as a planet, because there is so much going on. So when we're coming from that victim anger, that's not holding in the highest. That's fear-based, and you're imagining a possible future that doesn't have the best and highest for humanity on it. So it's a good moment to move that anger over into righteous anger. And what are you going to do about it? And the other part of all of it is it accurate? Is what you're angry about true? Some of it is and some of it's not. So it's really important to look at and get a sense of things for yourself. Like I have a tendency to go into what's happening in the Senate and the Congress, and I look at what the different politicians are actually saying, and then I'm looking at what's actually going on. Sometimes when we're watching certain news, some of it is propaganda and it's not accurate, it's not true. So it's really important to discern the difference between the two. And also, before I get into other things, it's so amusing to me sometimes how life shows up. We're teaching this healthy mind, healthy body class right now, and I have not had anything going on physically that is like I would consider like sick for a while. And here we are teaching this class. And actually, I think the last time I came on here, I was, thrilled that I hadn't been sick for a while. So I got a cold. And the funny part about it is, years ago, we were teaching this class and I got what I thought was a bladder infection. We're teaching the class and I'm able to talk about, that part of the body and what a bladder infection means. It's basically you're feeling pissy, you got angry about something. And I knew what it was. And I was like, well, I am feeling a little pissy. And then it turned into, so that night I was teaching that part of the body with Nick. And then the very next night I was teaching my own group. So I'm talking about it a little bit more. And I had been on this camping trip. And then, as I'm talking about it, I'm explaining a little bit more about what's going on with it. Sure enough, I conjured myself a kidney stone. And you'd never want to have one of those. So it was when we're teaching that part of the body. So fast forward to this past Monday night, I'm teaching. It's my night where I'm talking about the heart chakra. And the heart chakra, you're also talking about, this part of the body and what goes on here. So it's about the breast, it's about the lungs, it's about various parts of this part of the body. And then the body syndromes, there it is, a cold. And colds are feeling very busy and scattered and not focused. And I have been very busy. And it's funny when you have a cold, you do get, well, I was a little scattered before then. And it's just amazing how things show up. I mean, what are the odds? We don't teach this all the time. And here I am with a cold. And I'm curious, how many of you out there have gotten this thing? Is this cold? It's a very interesting kind of cold. Guess what? Mr. Newmont has come in the house. Holler out for everybody what happened to you today.
Well, which parts?
The best parts.
Well, I mean, tonight my JVs beat Moore Park 16-3.
JV beat Moore Park 16-3. I think Westlake beat Moore Park 16-3. I think you mercied them, correct?
We did.
And a few days ago, for the first time, they beat Saugus. That was huge, right?
Yes.
So you guys are cranking all right along. You're doing great.
In 3 games this week, we've scored 40 runs.
40 runs in 3 games. Those girls are rock stars.
Yep.
Yay, Westlake. Girls softball. So excuse me if I have a few minutes where I'm coughing. On Monday, Nick was teaching with me, and so he would give me a break from talking. Are you popping in?
I'm going to pop in for a second because it's a lot more important than softball.
Lean in.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and I will make this quick. So for those of you that have been watching my show, especially the last couple times with Carolyn Hennessy, we've talked about hoodoo and that kind of really good magic. And we did a lot when it comes to money and then different things. The show a few weeks ago was really more about money. And I have to tell you that those little things that Carolyn, those spices she threw into the stew. I've had several events over the last, what was that?
My light went out.
Uh-oh.
That's all right.
I have to get out. My energy's blowing out the lights. No, anyway, I've had some amazing things. And today I did that as I normally do. There's a special thing I do in a magic money box, on every full moon and new moon. And today was just one of those days that was just off the charts. And it started probably an hour into the day. It's not like at the end of the day all this happened. It was like really fast. So this magic is incredible.
So how can they watch that?
Well, you'd have to go back a few weeks ago on either Mainstream Metaphysics YouTube channel or on my Facebook page. And it's one several weeks ago, not the one 2 weeks ago, where Carolyn and I are talking about money magic and how to anoint candles and all of that. And it's really good. And even though Carolyn is an actress, she also is very ritualistic in such a cool way.
It is cool.
and very, very white magic. So check it out and let me know what you think.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
So
Oh,
he's a great softball
now
coach.
this is hysterical.
He's a great hypnotherapist.
Sitting right there is a cat, and next to the cat is a mouse.
My cat's on the floor down there, and I dropped my mouse.
There's the mouse.
That's funny. Ah,
And he didn't bite it.
he's a good boy. He is definitely a good boy. Nick, do me a favor. Come on to this Facebook and see if you can just write a quick comment so I can see. I don't see comments at the moment, and I have to see where I can see them.
My phone's not on me. Okay.
So kudos.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Thank you. I'll be down later. I made some matzo ball soup earlier. I'm having some afterwards. So now I want to get to the meat of the matter for today. I'm going to start by saying, I have all these tools in here, and I put it into, there it is. You can see this game format. And so I make it where you're going around this game board, and each step along the way, there is something to do. Like, for instance, when you're starting out, there is what's your intention? What do you want? And that's in the area of your love life, your health, your success and abundance. There's Mr. Newmont. And just simply your joy. So when you are in the starting point, there is this is where I'm going. So when I'm working with my clients, sometimes I'll tell them it's like, you're here in Los Angeles, and what you want, what you're creating, like whether it's a good job, a relationship, even your health, it's like, it's up there in San Francisco, and you have to be on the 101 freeway and pay attention to your feelings over here. Your feelings are the thing that's going to let you know when you are having that moment where you're in highway hypnosis. So that feeling of, any of what I call the fear feelings, false evidence appearing real. And that can be angry, anxious, worried, stressed, all those feelings that are just not as fun as the other feelings, which starts at calm. So when you are tapped in and you're paying attention to what those feelings are, and you get it, like maybe I'm feeling anxious. A lot of people are feeling anxious right now. So when you have that feeling of anxiety, then you move up to here, the pit stop. And there's a whole process of what to do at the pit stop. And in the book, it makes it really super simple to talk about the process. And you do the thing. Like this kid had said to me once before, you do the thing. Like the thing? Yeah, the thing. You do the thing. And it's like, what's the thing? The thing, when you're talking. And I was like, oh, you mean constructive communication? He's like, yeah, the thing. It was so funny. So then once you do that, you have stopped the car, you've done the thing, then you move over to the next box, which is the toolbox. And there's all these to-do things there. And the main number one thing is the fear into power tool. So you've stopped, you get it, I'm feeling anxious. So on the fear side, or it could be the challenge, the cons, whatever the thing is, this isn't working for me thing, I'm anxious. So you're stopping and it's like you're asking yourself questions. You're getting yourself into critical thinking. And so you're stopping and you're going, well, what am I anxious about? And one of the big questions with anxiety is it true? Is it real? Almost always anxiety is not true. It's what we're imagining could happen. And then if you're angry about something, if you're stressed, if you're worried, all these different things, it's not just who we are, it's what's going on in the controller. And when you're understanding the connection between the two and how we're literally creating, like on this road, where you're going to, it's like, am I going to San Francisco and picking up the greatest love of my life or the greatest job? Or am I being healthier? All of it is determined on what you are owning in your mind. So when you're in the process of this game, then you do the whole process of it. There's things to do in here. And then you go into the last box, which is cruise control. So when we have a habit that we need to change, when we have something that keeps being a pattern in our life, there is always a belief behind it. There's a thought. And so when you are in the game, you're going around the board, and each time you go around, you're changing an unconscious. You don't know what it is. You get an awareness of what it is. You be in the process of changing what it is, realigning yourself, and then you're going up to cruise control, where now you're in a whole nother thing. We've all done these things before. We've all changed different parts of our life. Like I have many, many times I look back at who I used to be, and it's like I've gone around my little board a million times, changing all of this massively dysfunctional behavior. And so when you're paying attention, when you're recognizing what those feelings are and letting them guide you, then you have every opportunity to change it. So when I put it into this format, I want you to really get something. It is 98 pages. Let me see if I can do this. It is these kind of things. Well, those are the chapters, and it's 98 pages. Like there's the token, and you're using the car to represent your body. The driver is the soul. There's 3 versions of the driver: the number 1 driver, the adult in the front seat, the kid in the back seat. And so as we're going along in here, there's different things that we are like. Here's the navigational system. The navigational system is your intention, attention, and your perception. Those are the 3 things that make everything happen. So like if you're here and you're wanting to get to San Francisco, the intention is, I'm going to San Francisco. Like for instance, you get in your car anytime, it's like, I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going to buy my groceries. I'm going to get back in the car and I'm going to go home. We're intentional about it. And that's what, generally speaking, most of us do. And we get back home and we eat the food that we bought. It's a process. So when you are intentionally driving, that's where I'm going. But what happens is the second button, attention, people have a tendency, just saying, to focus on the problem. They have a tendency to loiter in old belief systems. They have a tendency to be the kid in the back seat, the one that's driving, instead of the adult. So in the process of all of this, you're paying attention to the feelings and the thoughts and what's going on back there, and you're wanting to check it if you have driven off of the freeway. Like, instead of having the love of your life, there's a part of it where it's like, I never get what I want. I never find anybody good. I always find people who don't work for me in whatever way, shape, or form. Well, now you've driven off to Bakersfield. Your partner is in Bakersfield. Another one is people with their jobs. They're not intentional about getting the job, or they intend a lot of good things, but then it's like they forgot to mention that they want to make really good money, or they want to work with fun people, or they want to have a schedule that's a little flexible, whatever. So people have a tendency sometimes in desperation to take the job that's not the best one for them, and now they've driven off to Lompoc. And you got to learn in Bakersfield or Lompoc, and then get your butt back on the freeway and drive to where you want to go. And then that third button, perception. For that one, you got to read the book. So when I put all of it together, there's tools in here, there's all kinds of things to do. And like I said before, that fear into power tool is the number one. And then the one that goes right along with it is the timeline tool. So I wanted to share a few things. These are things that people have shared with me, and all of it's anonymous, but it's like we all have very similar problems and challenges. And then also, sometimes my clients, they use the tools in ways that, they're basic tools, and then you do what you want with them. And excuse me if I cough here and there, it's still loitering. So the first one I want to talk about is this client who had a very really special, unique version of doing that fear into power work. So basically, when you're doing that, you want to recognize, I'm angry. What am I angry about? And for her, she was wallowing. She was playing the victim. There was a part of her that thinks that she's just not good enough, and no original thoughts. And there was a part of it where it was regarding who she wants to be in her career, and so she was getting very frustrated about it. So she recognizes it, she pulls out her journal, and she starts writing. And the cool part about it is, I mean, you can do where you're doing a column where you're doing the fear side, and then you're doing the power. Power is the intention, the I am. This is what I'm claiming. This is where I'm realigning to. So this person starts writing, and she started writing in red ink because she's angry. This is going on. I'm really upset about it. I don't like it. Da, da, da. And you can see she's just angry. And then as she's writing and she's questioning herself, she's starting to recognize where she had faulty thinking. So as she's writing, she picks up another pen, and she picks up an orange pen. So then she's starting to level out a little bit and get into, all right, I'm not as angry now. And I'm in that process of looking at it as the adult in the front seat. I'm looking at it with logic, with reason. I'm being a little bit more grounded and calm. And then as she continues to write, she picks up the yellow pen. And when she's picking up the yellow pen, there's a part of it now she's starting to really move into the solutions, what she wants to do. And then she picks up the green pen, and she's all go. I love it. Green equals go. So you can do this however you do it. The challenge is you actually have to do it. And I was so ridiculously impressed with the way that she put it together. I thought that was just brilliant. So you can make these tools your own and do whatever you want with them. The book is just giving you the foundation of it. It's just giving you the information that I have gathered over all these years. And so at the end, she really came to owning her strength and really owning, moving herself to the next level. So, like, if you think about it, she's driving on that freeway. She got off the freeway. She's rolling around in it and she's figuring it out. And then she gets back on the freeway and she's hitting go. And when you do that part, when you're back on the freeway and you have that intention set, if you want to get to San Francisco quicker, put your foot on the gas of appreciation and you will get there a lot faster. The universe, you have to remember, quantum physics, you're feeling, you're thinking, and that is creating that road ahead of you. It's literally like you're choosing the lane. So when you are able to own that part and be like, I've got it. I had somebody once years ago who got a job like that. I watched him get the job and he appreciated, he was so excited. I've got the job. It's great. I love it. Da, 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 all this stuff. And he got a job within a couple of days, at least 2 or 3 days. Yeah. So it's fascinating the way that this works. So I want to go into some things that in my notes that people have said or things that I think are interesting. So my pages got stuck together here. Like this first person, we all get into patterns sometimes. And so when you're able to step back and you're looking at the patterns of your life, you're looking at the timeline. When you're looking at the pattern, you're recognizing, like for this person, she recognized that there were days that she would just wake up anxious out of nowhere. And then she started paying attention as we start working together over the months. She came in and she's like, oh, wow, I really have noticed something. And I was like, kudos. She noticed that at a certain time in the month, not directly related to the cycle, the female cycle, but it was a certain time in the month that she would have this kind of thing where she'd wake up anxious. So even that, when you can tell that it's something cyclical, it's once a month or once a week, it's at specific times, that's information. So then you just, all right, I've got this information. Now I have to pay attention. Is it something that I'm eating? Is it something in my past that is within those time frames? So when you are looking at any information, you're just being more observant in your own life. A lot of times it's like people just go from A to B to Z, and it's like not really acknowledging feelings and paying attention to the thoughts behind them. So a lot of this work is simply that, to be very present as the driver and really recognize what's going on with the feelings. That alone is a life-changing thing, and making it okay to be in the feelings. A lot of people have taken on beliefs around certain feelings, like it's not powerful, it's not strong, it's weak, various. So at this point, when you're looking at your own life, think about any feelings that are maybe not okay for you. One that's a huge one. I mean, a lot of people, it's not okay to cry. And oh my gosh, people come in and you can see they're just very strong as, I'm not going to cry. Various, I mean, there's so many stories of what people take on as a belief about crying, and it's men and women, definitely more men, but it's amazing. So then when they give themselves permission to cry and those tears start flowing, it is powerful. You got to remember, we were designed to do that. It is a part of releasing and letting go of whatever the things are that aren't working for us. So when you are being authentic with your feelings, being authentic with what's going on with that kid in the backseat, and you're nurturing that kid, you're hearing that kid acknowledging what happened from a new perception. You're not re-experiencing it as the kid. You're being the adult and saying, oh, I get it. We don't cry because, like in my situation, she would have given me something more to cry about. So you go, if you need to cry, you go to your room and you do it on your own. And so we all take on various beliefs around just the feelings alone. So when you make it okay to be in the contrast of life, the feelings are the contrast. As my dear, dear friend Alexandra, who channels Golden Arrow, who, by the way, will be on here next week, they just talk about, it's about the contrast. So when you can see the contrast and you can understand these feelings have a purpose, they have a reason, they have something to teach me, and you bring them close from the adult perspective, then you're in a position to work through them and understand them and literally learn from them and let them go. So it was great for her to get these patterns. And here's one. This is something that somebody said, it shouldn't affect me. It shouldn't affect me. It's like, but it is affecting you. So you're judging your feelings. So that's another common thing that people do. It shouldn't affect me. I shouldn't be bothered about this. I should be bigger than this. I should be better than this. Who said? That's a belief. And a lot of times, again, we get it from our parents and we get it from people who are influential to us. And so if it is affecting you, it's okay. It's her. It's not the 5% adult in the front seat, maybe 10% adult in the front seat. It's her. And it is affecting her or him. So when you make it okay and you have compassion and you're able to step back and say, hey, it is affecting us. Why? What does this mean? And we're doing the critical thinking. We're asking the questions, why, when, where, what, how? Is this true? Why does it matter? When you're asking yourself those questions and then you're able to own the answers, there you go. And you're the adult in the front seat and you're letting that part of you know it affected us and this is why. And now for the future, here's what we're doing. Like sometimes you can simply say, it's affecting me. All right, I get it. And that's not this, it's that. So this is not that. So I'm going to let it go. Or I'm going to own my word. Or I'm going to do whatever those things are that you do. Again, in the book, there's all these things to do. So when you are able to discern the difference and you're able to understand why it is affecting you, there you are and able to be letting it go. Okay, what's the next one here? Ooh, this is another one that is a very, very big deal. Are you ready? So sometimes when we're driving, as kids especially, here's the car and you're driving along and there is trauma. And trauma is like hitting a wall. Trauma is like you are crashing, right? And so when we have trauma, I'm getting to the picture of trauma. When we have trauma, can you see the picture? There he is, like the crash, right? And all these things happen. So what happens for many of us, like many, many people, I don't like being in whatever this is. It doesn't feel good. And I'm going to take another car. So I'm going to put this car over there because I don't even know how to deal with that. It's all mangled and tired and having a hard time moving forward. So I'm going to let that car just be over there. I'm going to suppress those feelings and I'm going to take the other car. And this one in particular, I beat myself up. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So if I'm not doing it just right, then literally they say I'm beating myself up. I should have done it better. I should, whatever those things are. So nobody, nobody is perfect. Nobody. So when you are able to understand, why did I take the perfect car? A lot of times it looks like one of the people who were in the front seat of our car. You know, a lot of our parents, it was like, I'm perfect. I'm never wrong. I'm always right. And I do all these things just the way that they should be done. And if it doesn't look like that, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to keep on going with the perfect car. So when you are able to see where the program originated, a lot of times it's back here in the timeline, and you're able to understand what that looks like. And I mean, I can't even explain to you how many stories of this one with the perfect car. It's a very, very common one. I've had my version of it, to be honest. And there is just this part of it where you make it okay. And then you have that affirmation, the intention in moving forward. What is it I'm doing in moving forward? So in moving forward, you can say, I am perfectly imperfect. And when there is something that I do that is a little askew, or something that I unintentionally offend somebody with, or do whatever the heck that I'm doing, when you are able to make that all okay and you are connected with yourself and you don't have that kind of pressure, it is a lot of pressure to be perfect. It is a lot of pressure to put yourself up there on that little pedestal and hold that spot. So when you are catching that's what you may do, then you're beginning the process of making it okay to be perfectly imperfect, or whatever it is that you want to say with that. That's a big one for a lot of people. And like I said, there's many, many versions of it. So think about your life. Is there a part of it where you never want to be wrong, where everything has to be just right? You may have what there's a diagnosis of OCD. You know, it's like everything has to be just right. Make it okay to be messy. Make it okay to have whatever that is, and watch how your life unfolds, and watch how it gets easier and you get happier. And oh, this one was a really interesting thing. So I work with relationships. I work with a lot of families, couples, you know, parents with kids. And this particular story, I'm not going to go into the details of. Oh, you like my background, Mr. Newmont? I just saw your comment. I have fun making these things. So my client came in and she was having a moment. We've been very much working on her relationship with a person that is near and dear to her. And so over a period of, I want to say like a couple of years now, there's been a lot of great movement forward. And there has been also these backtracks, and then more movement forward, and then a backtrack. And it's been a process. So she came in and something had happened the day before, and she was, you know, just hurt. You know, I think people don't realize sometimes that everybody just wants to be loved. Everybody just wants to be happy with the people that they love, and want to be acknowledged and appreciated and treasured. You know, people want to be treasured. And on a level, she wasn't feeling treasured. And so as we were talking about it, it's like, what do you want to do? And there's a possibility of maybe just writing this other person a letter and saying, you know, this happened. and it doesn't feel good. And the important part, intention, and moving forward, can we do this? And so we're talking about this, and she was going to decide what it is that she wanted to do because, you're not going to make any hasty decisions with that. At any rate, she texted me a little while after that while we were talking. The person texted to her and basically, long story short, made it all right. And it's amazing when you're talking about something and you're focused on the solution, you're focused on love, you're focused on, the outcome of being in San Francisco and being united in a good way. There goes the energy. And she said to me, wow, this is like really amazing. How do you think that happened? That she gets this text like right when we're talking about it. And I said, love wins. Love always wins. Sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes it takes a little thawing out of a heart or whatever. But when you do that kind of a focus, when you have that kind of intention moving in that direction, there you go. And so I was really tickled about that. And, I see these things all the time. And Nick does as well. When people really get how to manifest things and they do focus on the intention and they keep, moving forward and learning and understanding why they drove off the freeway, they will get to the solution somehow. And sometimes it's not exactly how you're choosing. Sometimes it looks a little different. The other part of all of this, and this is something that I have been adamant about, I mean, a lot lately, because we are in this interesting time. And energetically, we're in a moment. I'm watching it so intently. It's fascinating. It's like I said to a friend of mine, I think today it's like the veil is getting thin. And what I meant by that is when we're being the adult driver and we're relying on the number one driver, and we're trusting and having faith that I'm hitting San Francisco, whatever that thing is. Sometimes in the actual moment, I don't know how I'm going to get there. Like this thing with this book. I mean, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I've never been an author before. So I step back and I trust, I have faith, and I'm relying on the number one driver that as I'm going, it's getting closer and closer and closer to whatever that thing is. And, the book came out, so I hit that. Then there's another marker of what do I do with the book? And then another marker about, doing public speaking with the book, going on a book tour and all of the things that looks like. So I just keep being on the road and I keep trusting that the road signs are showing up and Audrey, go this way. Like, for instance, making this podcast. Okay, I'll make a podcast and I'll talk about it. All right, then I'm moving forward. And then it's like, well, now you have to make reels. Okay, I'll do that thing and I'll make those reels. Thank goodness I found an easy way to do it. Keep posting those, getting the audience and building it up so that my book finds its people and my people find its book, their book. So when you are trusting in the number one driver, that's you. You have to remember, it's all just energy. You are an energetic being. We're energy beings. So our heart is producing that electromagnetic energy. It's attached to a thought. And I'm charting my course with enthusiasm, with appreciation, with excitement, and literally making the choices that will keep matching that feeling and keep getting me where it is that I'm to be. And the other part of it is we're able to download from the number one driver. So sometimes spirit's telling me, do this, do that, go here, go there. And I follow. And sometimes I'm doing stuff and it's like, I'm not so sure about this. And, it's working. So when you are listening, there's a part of it where that's in the back of the book. And I was very happy. Spirit actually gave me this one. You're being the MVP and you're meditating, you're visualizing, and you're holding yourself and all of humanity in your prayers. And I have all of that in here in a way that makes it super simple. So then that, if you're thinking about the car analogy, that's when you're turning on the headlights and Spirit's showing you, go here, do this. And you're turning on the inside lights of the car so that you're able to see more clearly. So it's that thing, that light that is, showing the way. And by the way, speaking of light, I think I'm going to post this at some point afterwards. In the Monday night Healthy Mind, Healthy Body class, the first two slides that I showed were little videos. And the first one was, it was about, well, I'm not going to go into the first one. I'm going to go into the second one. So when the sperm, when we're in creation and we're creating a person, creating us, creating you, for all of us, when the sperm actually hits the egg and we become alive, we become that second of our what's the word I'm looking for? That second of our creation. There is a small little quick burst of light. And I just find that fascinating. So we are so much more than we can ever imagine. And just the fact that we have these tiny little itty bitty things coming together that create this quantum computer, this heart that receives and gives so much. It's like we're brilliant. So when we are trusting that first driver, you're letting the heart be open. You're letting the mind directing in a way that is intentional, and you'll get where you want to go. Let's see. This one was good. You can see, let me see. No, I'm not going to show any of this, but on the back of it, it's amusing to me sometimes. And to be clear, I've had my million things that I've ever said over the years, but when I'm working with my clients, I'm kind of like your detective. I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm paying attention because thoughts are things and they're very creative. And so it's my job to assist people in recognizing what thoughts are creative and what it is that they're doing. So this person said, I keep wanting to not go back. And I know it seems strange that I find it amusing, but that's creative. So you're here on the road, and there's a part of it. I keep not wanting to go back there, but the attention is on going back there, and the conversation is back there. And so you're here, and it's really important to understand the mind does not think in words, it thinks in pictures. So when we say, I don't, you're picturing it, and that's creative. So when you say, I don't want to go back there, I don't want to relive that stuff, there you are. And it's important to stay present in the moment. For many of us, it has been a traumatic time. And I mean, when I'm working with people, it's like, the stories, the things that people experience, the things that happen. And sometimes it's like when it's happening for an extended period of time, we get into this like this is life, this is what it is, and we get kind of stuck. It's like on the freeway, it's like you're getting off at the off ramp and then getting back on and then off and on in the same stuff. I was just working with somebody yesterday, and this person has had a really hard moment for a long time, for a while, and now I literally said to them yesterday, it's like, "You're golden now. Everything has lined up, everything's good." But because it's been such a time, it's really hard to break out of what has been happening and break free from that. It's like you're used to being on the loop, and it's sometimes it's like I don't trust that I can get on the freeway and get to San Francisco. And so it's 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 super important to really, in that kind of a moment, rely on friends. Like she's relying on me, and I'm supportive, and she's, able to write these things down and put them up so she remembers and keeps remembering. And then she's focused on the do this things, make this next step and make that next step. And, you keep working it so that you are getting back onto the freeway and moving forward. You know, it's important to look at your own life and recognize where you might get stuck and make it okay. Everybody gets stuck. I think pretty much everybody gets stuck. Maybe there's a rare soul out there that doesn't get stuck occasionally, but for the most part, a lot of us get stuck. And it's okay. So when you're making it okay, then you can move forward. One of the things that keeps people in stuck: guilt, shame, remorse, those kind of feelings. And a lot of it is like you imagine you're driving and it's like, oh, but I did that. I'm so not happy I did that. And you keep almost, sometimes it's like instead of getting back on the freeway, you're driving the other way when it comes to guilt, shame, and remorse. When people come to me with addiction problems, one of the first things is to really pay attention to those feelings and recognize any of those kind of feelings, because those, when we hold on to them, they're like an anchor to the past. And it's really important to get, when you're learning new information, when you're understanding who you truly are, and you're making those adjustments and making those adjustments. It's like every single time I'll ask those kind of people who are, having struggles like that, which is most people in some way, shape, or form, I'll ask them, would you ever do that again? Well, no, no, I would never do that again. And it's like, all right. So your consciousness is not the same as you had when you actually did it. So learn from it, gain that wisdom, own the resilience, and move on. Be that new person. And it's a process. Nobody is the new person overnight. There's a part of experiencing whatever that is in the process and doing all the different tools to keep changing the brain. It's like when you think of your brain, it's little roads in your mind. So there's all these different roads that we have created about who we are, what we do, what we believe, the different habits that we take on. And so when you're in the process of this, you're rerouting, you're realigning, you're reconfiguring that neural pathway to, I want to go over this neural pathway, and that's the one that I'm going to take. So think of it, you're under construction. I have no idea what time it is. I'm going to see if I can figure out it's right at an hour. So I started a little late. So maybe I will get into these on another night. I just wanted to share some of this with you. I wanted to share my book with you. If you would like to purchase it, I have a website, audreynewmont.com, and I put the book as its own page on my website, so you can go there. I recommend getting it, pardon me, I recommend getting it from Balboa Press because it's a nicer copy and I think it's a little less expensive than Amazon, or you can get one through us. You can just contact me. My numbers are on that website. And also, when you go to that page, I have a um, Nick and Michelle Guzzi did a testimonial. It was kind of spontaneous. And so they talk a little bit about it on there too. So if you do get the book and you read it and you would like to write a review, that's very helpful as well. And if you would like to share this video, it's very helpful. All these things that we can do to help each other. These are things that help me in this new venture of my life and being an author. So thank you very much for joining me, and I wish you a lot of love. Join me next week. I will be having Alexandra as my guest. She will be channeling Golden Arrow, and they are always interesting. I mean, they're amazing. So I will catch up with you next week. Much love to you. Good night.